Good morning. Welcome to Pecan Corner. I'm Tina, and today I'm going to be working with green tomatoes, making green tomato mincemeat pie filling. I picked the rest of the garden last week before the first cold snap, and I got about a bushel of tomatoes. And so I'm going to be doing several different ways to preserve those tomatoes. I probably won't post the videos one right after the other, but over the next couple of weeks, you'll have the rest of these up there. One of the things I'm doing with them is wrapping them in paper and putting some in plastic under the bed, so they will ripen gradually over the course of the winter. And so I can go in there every once in a while and about once a week and check and see which ones are getting ripe and pull them out to use. You can use I had this fancy box and I kept it just for this purpose, but I also have, you can use just like soda flats, or the flats that bottled water come in are great. Any kind of a narrow, box that is low enough that you can stick it under something. Under the bed is a great thing to do. Wrap it in tissue or newspaper, put something over the top of them to kind of protect them from dust, and stick them under the bed, and then just go check on them every once in a while. So the first thing I'm going to make is, like I said, it's green tomato mincemeat. And so the first thing I need to do is chop my green tomatoes here. And so I'm going to get going on that, and I'll come back when I get those all chopped. All right, I'm back. I have chopped up 6 pounds of green tomatoes. I used a little bitty tomatoes for this recipe because I didn't have to do much chopping on those that are grape size. Just cut them in halves or quarters. Since this is going to be used for like pie filling, I didn't want to run it through the grinder because I really wanted some texture to it. So I used those, and I've also peeled and chopped. I didn't peel the tomatoes. I did peel my apples. I've peeled and chopped 2 pounds of tomatoes. The recipe I'm using is out of an old Farm Journal freezing and canning cookbook, but the National Center for Home Food Preservation has a very similar recipe, but it's called green tomato pie filling. So they're not calling it mincemeat, but they're calling it pie filling. The reason I chose this particular recipe is it doesn't have meat and it doesn't have butter or fats in it, so I can use my water bath, process it with the water bath. I don't have to use my pressure canner to process it. So that was just the option that I made. There are some great old-fashioned mincemeat recipes out there that you can use venison in, ground venison, or finely chopped, or beef in, and those are very good. They're very tasty, and they usually call for suet, which is that hard beef fat that I rendered in an earlier video, and they made a really rich, wonderful main dish meal. The old days, mincemeat was made commercially, and you may have seen these little firkins, these wooden buckets. A lot of times it was sold in those in great big wooden buckets. I've seen great big ones that had mincemeat on them. So anyway, that's kind of all right. So I've got those, and now I'm going to add my other ingredients and put it in and put it on to boil. It calls for 1 lemon. The peel and the juice of 1 lemon. I'll show you a little something here. Let me get it peeled off here. Okay, the juice of a lemon, and my little reamer here. These are pretty handy to have, and I keep one actually. Used to keep it stored, in the pantry, but I find that I use it fairly often, so I keep it up here in the main cabinet. My house is real small, my kitchen is tiny, and so I have things stashed all over the place, and pieces of furniture with drawers and things in them are very oops. You don't want to get those all right, I'm getting my seeds in here. I'm going to take the seeds out before I can do anything else. Hold on. I'll get my seeds out here. Here. I don't want my lemon seeds going in here. They're supposed to stay up in this other little part of the reamer, but this particular lemon has got lots of seeds in it. All right, there we go. Which is one of the reasons that we use the reamer, is to be able to strain the seeds out. There are other kinds that have tiny holes that catch the seeds, you know, so they won't go through it. And this one, wow, it's amazing how many seeds are in this lemon. It's just really amazing. They filled up there's a little well here that's designed to catch them. And it looks like they filled that up and went overboard. Okay, there we go. All right. Now I'm going to use the peels. For a long time I thought I had to zest the peelings on lemons and oranges both. Since I'm cooking this, I'm not even going to take off the membranes, because I'm going to chop it super fine. But you can peel it off and leave that membrane on there and let it dry, and then pour it in your little spice grinder, and you don't have to worry about trying to get that white stuff off. That pith does not hurt a thing, and it dries out just fine. It doesn't taste bad or anything else. So this needs to be either minced or ground. You don't want it very big pieces, just tiny. And since this is a large lemon, I'm only going to use half of the peel in this batch. Give it that good old-fashioned flavor. You can pour this in your blender if you wanted to. I tend to do a lot of hand chopping, and I've got little tools that do it, little choppers and things, but really I always end up just kind of going back to my old standbys, just doing it by hand. It's safer to do it in the choppers. You have to be really careful with when you're using your knife. So if you've got children helping you, the little choppers, either electric or the little hand choppers, you know, that have the little enclosed blades, are both really good. Either one can be very helpful, and the kids can do that part for you, but they can do it safely. We used to always have mincemeat pies at the holidays, and they're so rich and so old-fashioned. Most people don't make them anymore, and if they do, you know, I tend to want one piece of mincemeat pie. But I found a recipe for a cake that I'll make later this week, and put that recipe up for you all, that uses mincemeat, and it is killer. It is something that you just catch yourself just continuing to go back and get another little slice and another little slice. It's very addictive kind of cake. But I do find that I get hungry for one small piece of mincemeat pie, you know, at the holidays, and so having a little batch on hand. Now the other thing that this calls for is over here to my some grated orange peel, and you can either use orange zest. Now this is, like I said, save your orange peelings when you peel an orange, dry them out, and you know, cut them into slices or pieces and dry them out, and then whirl them in your spice blender, and that's your orange zest, so you don't have to buy it. But I made some candied orange peel a while back, and that is what I'm going to use as my orange peel in this. I've seen some recipes that call for it for the candied peel, and I thought, oh, that sounds good. That would be a great way to use some of this. I like to just eat it. It's an old-fashioned candy, and when it's fresh, it's soft and tender. As long as you're using peels with a lot of pith on them. I think I said in the video that the old way of doing it, where you peeled all that white pith off, is not a good idea. You end up with a product that is hard on your teeth. The pith does not have a bad flavor. I don't know why. Maybe in the old days or some old varieties it was the pith was bitter, but it's not anymore. And so I leave it on, and I actually find I get a much tastier candied peel when I do that. I need about 2 tablespoons of this. Some recipes call for the whole orange. Some call for a quarter cup. Everyone has different amounts that it calls for. All right. Next, I'm going to use okay. There we go. Okay. Now, I need 2 cups of raisins. I had some leftover raisins that I boiled up the other day, and I don't know if I mentioned, when I peel my apples, I save my peels and cores, and I'm going to pop them in the freezer so that I can use them to make some apple jelly. I'll accumulate some more over the next month or so as I make different dishes, and I'll make some apple jelly with those. I have never made a no pectin jelly, but I want to try it with that. So. Okay, there's 1 cup. My raisins. Here's my. I should get into that. Out of the way here. So get a little further into this. There we go. Okay. We're using 2 cups of raisins. These are, okay, 2 cups of raisins. And this recipe calls for 2 cups of strong coffee. I have some leftover coffee, bless you, from the morning. Paul's got a cold today, so we're hoping that he doesn't get to feeling any worse. Well, we got 1 1/3 cups. All right. While I'm gone, I'm going to make another 2/3 cup of coffee. And well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a fresh pot of coffee, and we'll have some, and I'll pour 2/3 of a cup of it in here. I'm also going to add a 1/2 cup of vinegar. salt. Okay. A teaspoon of ground nutmeg. We bought whole nutmeg years ago, and the difference in it is so good compared to our pre-ground nutmeg that since then I always keep whole nutmeg on, and that's what I use. I kept the little bottle, the little box that it all came in because it's so handy for nutmeg. But now I just buy I buy my the Spanish spices. We have a couple of different brands that have displays in our local stores, and so they usually have anything like this, and it's a lot cheaper than something that's in the fancy packaging. So, all right, so I'm going to do a teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and I'm just using a little nutmeg grater. I got this in the Pier 1 used to have a big display of white ceramics, and that was a big part of what they offered in their stores, and that's where I got this long time ago, this little nutmeg grater. Okay. And it is, oh, that nutmeg flavor is so, it smells so good. And these, you know, these whole ones will keep, they'll keep forever. The flavor just doesn't go away. All right, and a teaspoon of cinnamon. I use a lot of cinnamon because I make cinnamon rolls for the farmer's market in the summertime, and so I sell at to sell in my little cottage food business, and so I buy lots of cinnamon, and then I'm going to use just a dash of cloves ground. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to use 4 cups of brown sugar. Cup. There's 2 cups. If you don't have your own, if you don't have brown sugar or don't have enough of it, you can mix molasses with white granulated sugar, and that becomes brown sugar. It's the same thing. Molasses is just what's left after it's refined out of white sugar. Use about a tablespoon or so of molasses, and just mix it in a bowl together. Okay, there's all 4. Well, that knocked that out. Cool. All right, I'm going to put this on the stove after I add the rest of my coffee to it, and I'm going to let it cook for at least 2 hours, and then I'll be back. Hello, I'm back. The mincemeat has cooked now for 2 hours, actually for about 2.5 hours, and so now I'm going to put it into my sterile hot jars, and then I'm going to process it in boiling water bath for 25 minutes. I've been reading that we no longer have to heat our lids, so I'm using new lids, so I'm not going to worry about putting them into boiling water. My mincemeat here is looking really nice. It's big and chunky. If you want yours ground up so that it's really fine, that's fine. But with the things that I'm going to do with this, I love the look of it. It's really pretty. The green tomatoes have kind of kept their color, and then the apples are a pale brown, and then the raisins are a nice dark brown, and so it's just got It's got a beautiful color to it. So that's, I'm fixing to put this in my jars here. Let's see how much we got out of it. I'm putting this up in pint jars because the recipe that I want to use it for will call for about 1 jar full, and I think. And so rather than put it into quarts, because I don't think I'll use a whole quart, I think a quart would be too much. So I'm going to put it into pints, and that way I won't be wasting it by opening too much at once. You know, we just don't make 2 pies anymore. We make 1, and so that I think is the way to go on this one for me anyway. This smells really good too. You can, you know, this is one of those things, everything that's got spice in it like this, you can kind of use your own taste and your own judgment. Some people like a lot of spice and some people don't like much. There are probably some fun variations that we could do with this if we really got into it. But with adding a little, you know, what would chili powder taste like in this? Some of those nice Texas chilies. By the way, I've had a local request for me to start doing some Mexican food recipes, and we actually eat a lot of Mexican food at home. I'm surprised I have kind of gotten away from it for a while, but so that'll be coming up over the next few weeks. I'll be doing some different kinds of things. My first mother-in-law was Hispanic and we're Mexican, and so I got to learn how to do a lot of home-style cooking, and so I can do a lot of things that just are really easy, simple foods and good foods to cook. So, all right, I'm going to get these finished up and get them in the water bath canner and process them, and then I'll be back to show you the final result. Alright, here we go. This is the finished product. I got 8 jars, 8 pints out of that, and the last 4 are in the canning now. I'm using my little stock pot to water bath these, so I don't have to get my big one out. So I hope you can see the beautiful color and the little. Oh, there goes one. Hear that lovely popping. All right. Thank you for stopping by. I hope that you will enjoy this, and appreciate any comments that